been done before, something that was more complex than anything anyone had done before. They had so many variables. We would simplify the whole process to do the next item on the list, the next item on the list.
We have all our procedures. We obviously have to hold each place where we need. So we make use of the Velcro on the table.
By building that checklist so carefully and thoughtfully, they made something to that point impossible possible.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
If there's one person that deserves credit for bringing to light the significance of checklists, it's author and surgeon Atul Gawande. As Gawande details in his book, The Checklist Manifesto, he first started thinking about them when the World Health Organization came to his team and asked them for help with a project aiming to reduce deaths in surgery. The solution, as you might have guessed, a checklist.
We created a 19-item, 2-minute checklist for surgical teams. We implemented this checklist in 8 hospitals around the world, deliberately in places from rural Tanzania to the University of Washington in Seattle. We found that after they adopted it, the complication rates fell 35%. It fell in every hospital it went into. The death rates fell 47%. This was bigger than a drug.
Now, it's not that I don't think very highly of the work that I do, but this is not exactly brain surgery. So it makes sense for people trying to fly airplanes, perform open heart surgery, or even land on the moon, but could it actually apply to people like me and you? To find out, I gave my friend Greg McEwen a call. He's the checklist advocate that first introduced me to the idea, to see if he could explain how it might be able to help me in my own life.
The checklist relieves the mind of having to try to remember. The mind is good for so many things, but it's a bad office. You know, it's a bad place to try and store things that you need to remember constantly. So you remove that cognitive pressure, and you also just carefully select better over time those things that really matter most to you, and you start making small incremental progress on those items.
I'll be honest, I don't find myself too cognitively overloaded these days, but I was ready to give it a shot. And as it turns out, when it comes to creating a checklist, well, Greg's got a checklist for that.
1, observe your own process. Literally put a video up, like a time lapse of the entire process. If it's a 2-day process, a week process, just video the whole thing. Record it somehow. Write out everything as you remember it. Once you've got a recording of it, a version of it, written out in rough format, try to do it again using that process yourself. Where you find that isn't correct, refine the process until you finally say, yeah, that is how I do it right now. And then it can be taught to other people.
So with the help of the Checklist Manifesto, as well as my checklist friend, Greg, I got started and I made a checklist for pretty much everything. I made one for my editing process and one for how I choose which videos to make, a checklist for when I interview people, one for when to say yes to commitments, and another for how I pack for travel. As I found out.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, good morning.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Let me get my video going.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Ooh. All right, so today's topic, if you guys haven't picked up on it yet, is going to be a lot of checklist processes, and also we're going to cover what's called a to-don't list. A lot of good stuff today we're going to unpack, but before we get into any of that, I just want to say hello to everyone, and I want you guys to chime in and tell me if you guys got anything new and exciting going on in your lives, or maybe any questions that we can answer in today's training as well. I'll open up the mic to you for you guys and see how you guys are made out during the last week or so. Don't be shy, guys. I know one of you guys had to have done something exciting. How's the first, what is it, like the first week? We were back last week. How's everyone doing with their New Year's goals so far? Anyone here want to share with what they've been working on and if it's working out or not?
Well, hi, everyone. I started the cold calling.
Hey, Jeanette.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's good. Can't complain. Just started. I'm
Uh-huh.
very excited that I did. It's not an easy task. However, if you still feel the fear of doing cold calls, I mean, all they can say is no. They're
Yeah.
not going to kill you, and get back with them 2 weeks later until they get tired and say yes.
Have
This
you
is like
had?
telemarketing right now, but it's exciting. I signed up with Redx
Mhm.
and I'm working on it. I'm excited.
That's awesome. We can unpack a lot about the cold calling process. We did a lot of that in our office. But let me ask you, are you calling for sale by owners? Or are you calling expireds? What are you calling?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm calling everybody
Hmm.
for sales, expired listings, FISBOs, for anything.
Cool.
I'm into right now. I'm just trying to grow and
Yeah.
see where I can get from there. And I'm really excited. I'm very positive, and I think this is going to be an amazing year.
Yeah, it is going to be an amazing year. Good for you. Yeah, there is
Law
no
of
Go ahead.
attraction.
Say it again.
Law of attraction.
Law of attraction, absolutely. Yeah, you're not going to you're not going to want to just stick to one category initially in the beginning. It's good for you to spread out and just call as many people as you can, different categories as you can. But along the way, keep track of your productivity from each category, because that's exactly what I tracked in the beginning when I started prospecting, and I learned very quickly that for sale by owners, they took a certain amount of contacts, a certain amount of follow-up, and also a certain dialogue. And then my dialogue had to be different with expireds because I was up against other agents calling them the same day, usually. And then, you have other people like who are maybe facing foreclosure, and then you had a different dialogue for those people as well. And you had to also have a follow-up system for all of them. So before we move on to anyone else, how did you create your follow-up system? Because the money's in the follow-up. What kind of system are you using?
Right there on Redx, you could actually type in, or it's like already there. You could click on follow up and you could put the date on it.
Beautiful.
So all you gotta do is just go back and see. And I always put a date on it too. Like on the notes, I put
Yeah.
notes as if they were skeptical, if they need a call back, and
Mhm.
whatever information I get, I just add it there. And then when I just log in, I see which one I need to call back.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. You don't need to overcomplicate it. A very simple system like that is exactly what you need to do. When you try to make it too fancy and overcomplicated, you're less likely to do it and use it. But yeah, these calling systems have built-in CRMs, I call them, because that's what they are. They're a client relationship management tool. You're able to keep up with the people you got to call right then and there in your system. So that's good, Jeanette. That's a very, very good. I'm very proud of you. Keep it up. It's hard the first month, and then after the first month, it gets a lot easier. I guarantee you that. I found it to be exactly the same way. But after you get your first listing from it, you're gonna ask yourself why you didn't do it sooner. It's definitely gonna be very worth your time.
Right, right. I'm excited. I mean, I received a lot of, oh, bring me a buyer and I'll sell it to you. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I told Ivania earlier, I go by energy. Like usually when when you're tied up and you're almost on your way out, you have things going on. You have people tend to have like a certain attitude or certain vibe to it that
Yeah,
you just like, I'll call them back later. Like
sure.
the and like their attitude lets you know whether they're stressed or going through something at the moment or doing something at that moment.
Mhm.
But it doesn't discourage me. It's
Yeah.
hard to,
Go
you know,
ahead.
it won't discourage me. I'll
No,
get
it
back
shouldn't.
till I get them. I'm on a
Yeah.
hunt.
Bring me a buyer means one of two things. It either means I'm not ready yet, I don't have enough pain, or it means can you convince me enough to have a follow-up phone call or maybe a follow-up meeting in person? Those are the only two things, because you're not gonna get a sale from someone who says bring me a buyer like immediately. The only thing you could do is try to earn that person's trust. So if someone says to me, bring me a buyer, that means to me like they still think they can sell this thing on their own,
Right.
or yeah, or they're not in a rush to sell it just yet. So then I try to unpack that and I say, okay, if I bring you a buyer, does that mean you're ready to move now? Like, what's your timeline? Right. So then I open up a conversation with that and see what they tell me, because the more information you get from them, the more ammunition you get. I always try to tell people that, like, the more you listen, the better you're going to do. So after you find out, what really makes them move, what I would do then is, because now I've earned their trust a little bit because they've opened up a little more, I try to say to them, well, listen, would you mind if I previewed the house? Because I'll take a couple pictures and maybe send them to a few clients. I know you got some old pictures online, but just believe me when I tell you this, is sometimes pictures are a little deceiving. And try to see if you can get your foot in the door. If they say no, like, okay, well, is it okay if I follow up with you in a couple of weeks and to see if anything has changed on your end, and I'll let you know if I come up with any people who might be interested. And they say, okay, then you got permission to call again. It takes time, but after a while, it just gets so much easier, and the people start to see that you're not going anywhere, and that really builds respect. There was a girl who gave us her listing, a really nice house, because she said, you know what, you guys just never stop following up. I like that. And you're going to hear that from people when you continuously do treat them with respect. Don't be overly pushy, and don't try to put your needs before theirs. Eventually you're going to get the business. So congratulations. I really like that you're starting that this year.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
No
It's
problem.
gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyone else? Belinda, how are your postcards going? Did you do any Christmas postcards and New Year's postcards?
I did do Christmas postcards, and I just sent out my second round again of people that are having their homes foreclosed on the first Tuesday of February.
Yeah.
So I did not get a
Mm.
chance to go to January's courthouse sale. It was raining too bad here. So
Okay.
I didn't go, but I will try to definitely go to February. But I had an inspired action to do a home selling workshop. So I've just got finished putting that together this weekend,
Mhm.
and I plan, and I'm getting ready just to do the advertisements. I want to start next week.
That's awesome. Good for you.
And there will be Zoom calls, but
Mm.
I am going to advertise in Facebook Marketplace
Okay.
for one, and the areas that I farmed. I'm also going to get postcards out to them today, letting
Mm.
them know I got a home selling workshop, because we all focus on buyers. Buyers get
Mhm.
a lot of workshops.
Yeah, they do. Well, good for
And
you. You should also record it and then have it as a pre-recorded workshop people could take later on and collect their data as they're logging into it.
yes, it will be posted on my website
Mhm.
only. So it's going to be a trigger back over to my website for me
Good
to
for you.
collect additional information.
That's great. That's awesome. I'll share something with you guys. Last week, I think I told you guys that I wanted to be more, I wanted to be contact people more, just be around more people, and just be more social this year. So I did. I reached out to a lot of people that wished me Merry Christmas. I started with those people first. So like anyone I got a text from this year that wished me Merry Christmas or Happy New Year, I reached out to them and I told them that I was and I'm here if you need any help, or if I could do anything for you this year, please count on me, or asking them what their plans are for 2023. And a few of my clients, actually, who I haven't done business with in a couple of years, are like, I'm so glad that you reached out because I actually want to make an offer on a house. Would you be able to help me? And I'm like, yeah, of course, absolutely. So like you just, all these opportunities are just under our noses sometimes, but we don't take them because maybe we're too busy working on other things, which is something what we're going to talk about today. What are the things that we're actually doing that maybe aren't helping us? Maybe there's some things that we could let go of that are really holding us back instead of moving us forward. Anyone else want to share any good things that's happening? Any things that are you guys been working on this week?
Hi, Louis.
Hey, Sarah, how you doing, sweetheart?
Good, good. So for the first quarter,
Yeah.
I have my own plans,
Mhm.
which is I'm going to do a lot of sweat equity
Mm.
instead of check equity.
Getting your hands dirty?
Yeah. So I've been door knocking, me
Okay.
and this other girl from a different team,
Okay.
and we're getting a lot of attention from other agents are just calling me saying that they're getting motivated because they're shy to door knock.
Mhm.
A lot of team leaders are saying I'm crazy because I took a girl from a different team, and I'm like, we're not competition. We're all under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
And then the feedback is really great. Nobody's been rude to us.
Mhm.
Everybody's been very, very nice to us. Even
Mhm.
people that don't want to open the door, they're talking to us through the ring. And they're so sweet, so we're doing it again today, and we have plans to go again on Thursday. So we're gonna door knock twice a week, 30 doors each.
I love that. I mean, that's such a great thing to do. And I'll tell you right now, the door knocking thing, that has a delayed gratification to it, because I know that the agents that I've worked with in the past who have done that, they've gotten calls 6 months later. That's the kind of impression you leave on someone when you are face to face, as opposed to maybe just a phone call or a postcard. If you are face to face with someone and leave your business card or a door hanger, they'll actually hold it. Some people will hold it because they think to themselves, wow, I'm not ready to sell yet. I'm going to sell in a few months. But if I do sell, I want to sell with a person like this who actually came to my house and literally walked the neighborhood. Like, that's someone that I want to work with. I think that's happened to Ivania too, right? Ivania, didn't you get a good results from door knocking?
Yeah, I did. I got a listing from door knocking, and then I didn't really do it again or follow up. But as she was saying, no one was really rude. And one thing that I noticed, and I have heard it into a lot of podcasts, is I know you're saying 30 doors each. People are more likely to open the door when they see two people instead of one.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So
So it
if
might
you're a
take you a
girl,
little longer to do 60 doors together, but you will have a better
Yeah.
chance of them opening the door if you're with somebody. Somebody
Ivania,
else said
we
too-
did that, and we would be like one door for me, one door for her, but we
Yes,
walked together just for
Yes.
safety.
yeah, yeah.
We did it for safety reasons.
And then people feel more comfortable. And then somebody else said too, like, just take a kid with you. They'll feel bad and open the door.
You know what? I heard
I
that.
haven't tried that. When it's warmer, I am gonna take my goddaughter.
I have to rent one. I have
That's
to
just
rent
so
a baby. Or take
That'll
my
be
cat.
weird.
But yeah, it does work. Yeah, maybe your dog and be like, hey, I'm just walking around the neighborhood, like
No
I
dog. I only have a cat.
I have a cat too, maybe like in the cat pouch or whatever. But good morning, guys.
Walk your cat.
I also wanted to share something. This year, my word of the year is leadership, but it's not just as in, it's more of a leadership, like me leadership instead of, whatever. I want to be led, because I feel like it's hard for us to sometimes get our guard down, and we want to know it all, and sometimes we think we know it all. So my word is leadership, but me getting led so I can lead others the right way. This is my second year in mentoring, and this year I did something that no one ever really did for me, and I have gotten a lot of really good feedback. So the last week, I sat down with my mentees. I'm still going through the list, and my team members, and we worked on the goals. So what I have realized is we have to do this like in November, but I did it. We're doing it right now in January, and everybody was like, "Oh wow!" So once you know how much money you want to make a year, and you are able to break it down into daily activities, it totally changes everything. It's not just working, like, oh, I want to make this much money. You don't even know how many houses you have to close. So I did it for myself, and I was like, wow. So I did it for the people that I have been doing it for, and they're like, oh my God, this is so helpful. This is what I needed, because most of the times we're just lost. I also I shared it with you guys. I started the role-playing group. We've been doing it since last week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 in the morning. It's not just for us. I'm just like Sarah. There's no competition as long as we're doing the same thing. We're all making money. So if you guys want to join, I can send you guys the link. The more that we practice, the better that we are. She's not here, Dory. She's one of my mentees, but even today, she started doing the call, and then we gave her some feedback, and then she went back in the call, and it was a totally different person. So the more that you practice, the better. My coach, I took a coaching class. The guy said, we practice so that we don't, we do something practice so that we don't die in battle. Like whenever you're calling the real people on the phone, that's when the battle is at, and those people are not always nice. That, and then what else was I gonna say? Oh, follow-up. Luis was talking about follow-up. So I have been calling people for over a year, the same list, people that just, they say they're interested or whatever. And I had an appointment, 2 appointments on Saturday for people that want to sell in the springtime. So just always follow up. And Grant Cardone said in one of his trainings, I do recommend you guys take the Grant Cardone trainings, because he's very straight up. And he said, unless people tell you no, you keep calling and you keep calling and you keep calling. And I have had people tell me, why the F are you calling me? F yourself. And they hang up, but they didn't tell me not to call again. So I'm going to call you again. And the next time they probably don't even remember who you were because they have so many people calling. But as Louis said, when you're nice and you get to, because after a couple follow-ups, you start getting to know them, right? Sometimes they sit and they tell you their whole story. So next time I'll call and be like, okay, so how's your dog, or how's your situation that they're going? And they appreciate that. So they feel like you're a person and you care for them instead of, just trying to get the listing. I actually took my daughter, she took her license. She passed her exam. She's has to do her fingerprint, but I took her with me on Saturday. And then one of the appointments, the guy just kept talking and talking. And she's like, Mom, you try to talk about, the price like 3 times. And the guy just kept talking. And I was like, yeah, that's what, and it's better for me because I get more information, but that's the business. It's not about us. They don't really, every time I've been on an appointment, nobody has told me how many houses you sold this year. All they want to do is talk about themselves and their house. So just keep asking questions and follow up, and do take notes and bring it back to them so that they know that you remember that, that they matter.
That's amazing. That's awesome, Ivania. You could give this class for real, because all the stuff you're saying is spot on.
Yeah, Louis, I was going to share real quick
Yes, sir.
I did, I put together a gift basket and delivered it myself. So all I did is went to Costco, picked up flowers and candies, put them in a bag, and I also bought cards that I would write. And just to 3 of these people were my customers, 2 people that had lost, their spouses. And just me going to their house and knocking on the door and giving them this gift package. If, the 3 customers, one has, all the 3 customers are married. So I gave the wife the flowers, and then the husband got some sugar, candy or cookie. And I did that just to remind them that, I'm thinking about them. And I'm telling you, that made them smile. And they couldn't believe that, because I hadn't told them that I'm coming. I just knocked on the door. I gave them a surprise. And I told them I wanted this to be a surprise for you. But it goes to tell you that, when people appreciate something like that, it's unusual for people to knock on other people's doors. And the reason I brought gifts is because these are people that I know. To me, it was like a thank you for their business. But it made a big difference. So I think knocking on doors helps, and just introduce yourself to people, whether they are total strangers or people that you know.
Yeah.
That those people will be thinking about you the rest of the year, really.
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good strategy. There are a lot of very successful people and real estate agents as well who they don't spend $1 on marketing. All they do is they have a budget for gifting their referral base. So for instance, everybody you close a deal with, or anyone who has ever sent you business, like your CPA, or maybe I don't know, a police officer who maybe refers you all his buddies at work, or whatever the case may be, whoever refers you business or whoever you've done business with before, imagine if all you did was find a way to appreciate them every month. And your budget was, I don't know, let's get creative, $500 a month. Could you come up with a creative way of spending $500 on 20 people, once a month? Those people will continuously refer you more and more people. I remember my second year in real estate when I started with a new company, where I started to actually learn from my broker, because my broker was very active. He said to me, he's like, oh my God, I got this Dominican kid who keeps sending me all his family members to sell houses to. He's like, I'm going to get this kid to get his license. But the kid didn't want a license. He just liked, he was a connector. He just liked giving people business. So he nurtured that relationship very well. And he got all the family members to buy houses with him. So when you find these people that consistently give you business or could give you business, make sure to nurture those relationships. So I'm sure each one of us pays taxes or is going to be paying taxes this year because of 1099 income. You're going to need an accountant. So make sure that when you meet with your accountant, that person knows a lot of people who are qualified to buy homes or need to buy homes. Why would somebody need to buy a home, right? Especially with an accountant's point of view, because they need to offset their taxes. So if you don't tap into your CPAs or your accountants and tax planners and stuff like that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, because even if you get like a pity referral one time from your accountant and you do a stand-up job, and then you thank that person with a gift like John was just mentioning, that's going to get your foot in the door. And all we need, right? If we're hungry enough, all we need is that one opportunity, that one foot in the door, because then that gives us all the space we need to create that relationship and make sure that they understand that we're not just a transactional person, we're a relationship person, both the relationship with the client that we're going to get and the relationship with the referral source as well. So good. That's a really good plan, John, what you did there. I encourage everyone to try that.
Yeah, and let me also add that on the package, I also put, those EXP folders. I put my magazine in there, my business card, because I have a 48 page magazine.
Nice.
So I put it in there, and I also put my landscaping postcard in the package. So they got that, and the magazine is a well-done magazine that they will keep.
He's hitting every angle.
You got them from all
Oh,
Three
yeah.
businesses at one time.
Do babies sit in too?
Yes. Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome, brother. More power to you, John. John's a great example of that. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. A lot of people say they don't have enough time. John has 3 jobs, or John has 3 careers. I don't know how he does it. And he does well at all of them. So never say that you don't have enough time to do something.
Yeah.
Good for you, brother. Anyone else?
Louis,
Yes.
I have something to add just in case.
Go for it.
So I don't have the Mojo system, but the girl that I was door knocking with, she has the Mojo system. So when we door knocked, we actually went and knocked only on the doors that had been in the house 5 years or more, just to make sure they have equity. So we kind of like did not waste time by knocking at somebody's door that just bought a house.
Yeah, very smart.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Mojo system that gives you area prospecting, or what does that give you? Circle prospecting, or
it has actually a door knock map,
and
it tells you. Yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
gonna invest in it. I'm going to buy this system.
Yeah, Mojo is amazing.
Next quarter. So
Mojo
I don't
is
want to pay
amazing.
any money this quarter.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much: if you can utilize Mojo for prospecting, it's worth its weight in gold. I'm telling you right now. I think the system that Yannette is using, Redx, I think they may have a dialer built into that as well. Some do, some don't. But if you don't have a
Yes,
dialer,
it does.
yeah, she has,
And it goes directly through your computer as well.
Yeah, that's great. So imagine this, Sarah. Imagine if you're door knocking, and as you guys are walking, you're also making phone calls. So let's just say that it's your turn to knock on the first 5 doors, right? Your turn. So while you're knocking on those first 5 doors, it's probably gonna take you 30 minutes. Your friend is there with you, and she's prospecting on the phone, because you can do Mojo on your cell phone, and you can make calls while the other person's door knocking. So what you guys do is you make a deal that, hey, listen, whether we get a listing from door knocking or we get a listing from prospecting, we're gonna go 50-50 on it. So now you guys are
That's
hitting
a
it from
crazy
both
idea.
ends.
I love it. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Plus, when you're walking and you're talking, you're building up more energy and you sound more confident. So the fact that you guys are outside in the sunlight and you're walking and you have all the energy and you got the other person there with you, I think you guys will do really well making the calls and door knocking at the same time.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
What a great idea.
Yeah, Louis, I have a question too. I reached out to, and maybe anybody can answer this, but I reached out to a family member that had lost a loved one, and they are planning to list their home in June. Of course, I cannot list the home because of the conflict of interest, because this is one of my patients.
Yes.
And so I told her that I know of an agent that could help you. But she kept insisting that she wanted all the resources that I have to help her through this transition. So she wanted me to mail it to her, all the resources that I have, in addition to recommending an agent. she also wanted other resources. And that kept me thinking, I'm like, okay, this is all new to me,
Mhm.
that somebody wants maybe anything to do with, maybe she wants to put her finances in order and she's looking for that resource, or maybe I quite did not understand exactly what she wanted and where am I going to start? Yeah, of course I can give her an agent right away, but she wanted to go beyond that.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you have had that experience or you have anything ready to go, like a package for somebody who is asking for not only to sell their home, but also to help them through that transition
That's
of,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way for you to build your business as well. I had a home inspection not too long ago with a company down here in Naples, and the home inspector, I love the guy. Like, he was so professional first time I met him, but the second time he came out and I met with him again at another house, I called him back because he was so good. He gave me a postcard, and on his postcard he's like, hey, listen, if you ever need any other resources in this space, here are the people that I partnered with. So he had everything you could think of: painters, movers, mortgage, loan reps, title people, like everything you could think of. He had resources there. So what you're doing, John, what you're saying is very similar, because someone in your position, somebody at final, maybe at the end of their life, they need some types of different services. Someone that might need, for instance, I don't know, maybe like tax planning or estate settlement, maybe even maybe therapy. You might talk to a therapist, who deals with what's that called? When you lose a loved one, I forget the term of it, but yeah, like
Agree.
Yes,
grief.
support,
Yeah,
grief.
grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like all of these things, all of these people can be your referral bases because they go right hand in hand with what you do. All of us should have these people. Like, we should spend a good hour thinking of who are all the people they get utilized in a real estate transaction, right? We've talked about this before, all the partners you could possibly have. And have you taken the time to really cement those relationships and maybe make something in a professional manner, having a folder or maybe a flyer or something, or maybe a website or whatever, anything that you can give someone very easily where they can get all the resources they might need for something. Maybe they don't need you right now, but maybe they need the other people around you. Like, maybe someone's looking to refinance their home. I don't know why, but if they do, you might have to just refer a real estate, a mortgage lender right now, and just take the back seat. And then later they come to you for their real estate needs when they have to sell or buy, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, John, is that what you're referring to? Like starting like
That,
a whole network?
yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's and now it makes sense. Having like because I do have a postcard that's for my landscaping business, and the postcard says clearly everything that I do as a landscaper. So I think with the real estate, I think that will be a good addition to my package.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the great thing
wow.
about that is that if you do create some material like this, every one of those people that you put on there, I'm sure they would be more than happy to help pay for the marketing. So imagine if you did that, if you did like a nice front of a postcard that you hand out to people with mainly your information, and then on the back you have all of your other partners that you work with. That way, you can buy more marketing, offset the cost, and at the same time build relationships with other people. So think about that, guys. That's a good way to get your name out there for cheap. Really good. Awesome.
Thank you, Lois.
No problem, no problem. Anyone else want to add anything before we dive into our meat and potatoes today, the main topic?
Can I ask a question?
Go for it, Sarah.
Okay, so God bless this group. I feel like they're so active and they do different things than my team. And I love coming here and learning from you guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
Of course. I would love to do something like how the team members here do. I would love to host an event, but I don't know how, and I don't know who am I supposed to approach to sponsor me.
That's great. That's awesome. And you know what you're talking about right now is gonna really resonate with our topic for today. So
Lender.
Sarah, yeah. So Sarah's saying like, okay, how do I put together an event? I know Ivani has put together an event here.
Yeah,
I'm not
she's
sure
good at it.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has put an event together. Obviously I've put together many events, but I'm sure teaming up with someone like Ivania and picking her brain and seeing what worked and what didn't work, reaching out to Micah, who does events probably on a monthly basis. Like, you really want to just talk to different people and see how you can benefit from the events they've done before and how to not make the same mistakes that they've made as well. For me, like, I'll be honest with you, putting on an event in a place where you don't know anyone is very difficult. So for instance, me here in Florida, the events I put on down here have been very hard for me as opposed to the events we've done in Jersey, just because our network is so much bigger. So if you're going into a territory where you don't know many people, you're gonna have to double down, and you have to partner up with local people. That's what you have to think about. But if you know the area and you have a lot of people, resources in that area, then you probably do much better. But make sure that you also provide value aside from the EXP explained, because the EXP explained is kind of like the cherry on top. You got to make it something that people want to learn about, something that's trending, something that's new to the business, or something that could, gets people really interested is gloom and doom. Like, if you say, oh my God, is this year going to be a crash or whatever, you come up with something creative that gets people's attention. And I'm sure you'll get more people out there.
Do you think hosting a client appreciation event for like Valentine
Yeah.
would be a nice idea? Because the people that I know, or the people that I sold homes to, they
Mhm.
all either have siblings or cousins, or they're heavy in the community.
Yeah.
Some of them, they have kids, like college graduate. So you
Mhm.
can see they are at the age of buying a home.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good one or no?
I think any opportunity you get to spend time with your old clients is a good idea. So this sounds to me like a ladies' day, right? More or less.
Like, I want the spouses to come too.
Okay, so then you would probably avoid the Valentine's theme, because to me it sounds like it's either going to be like a girls' day, and may kind of not really attract couples as much, but keep it to maybe client appreciation day, and do like a luncheon or something like that.
Okay.
What do you guys
Okay.
think? Would you guys be a little confused by the theme of a Valentine's thing?
I think client appreciation would attract more people, couples, as an
I
event,
agree.
but not Valentine's, because that kind of limits you. So I think keeping it more broad with client appreciation event, you will have more attendance.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tanya. To me, I just want to avoid any confusion because if I'm putting on an event, spending money and wasting time, that you only have so much time. You want to make sure you don't confuse people with your marketing. To me, just Valentine's to me sounded like it's going to be a girls' day, and you might not attract maybe some gentlemen that you've worked with, because guys are not big on like Valentine's things, believe it or not. Well, contrary to what you may have heard, most guys are not like hopeless romantics, but I think if you keep it to a general client appreciation luncheon type of thing, I think that might really do well. Or maybe not even a luncheon, maybe just like host, I don't know. I mean, well, you know your community well. I'm not sure, what kind of events there are in your neighborhood that you can put together that might be good. But when food's included, people usually tend to come.
Yeah, I agree. Especially us, the Arabs.
I think that's common for every nationality. We all love to eat.
So how do I approach people to sponsor it, and who do I go to?
Great questions. Okay. Anyone want to help her with that? I mean, has anyone had any experience with sponsorships for events? It doesn't have to just be real estate related.
Hello?
Um,
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
oh, that's okay. I do events on the ministry side. We normally have a jazz night, gospel and jazz night. So who should you be contacting, Sarah, besides your clients, your mortgage lenders, the ones that you work with the most?
Okay.
They should have good relationships with their clients, especially if they're trustworthy.
Do I invite him
and
too? Do I have him
sure you
come
do.
too? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and hold up and
And
have them sponsor too.
I didn't hear
Ha-
that.
Vanya said had them sponsored too. And I'm
Okay.
also going to say contact attorneys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a
attorneys as
title
well.
company.
Title people are always down with events too.
Correct.
So attorney, mortgage lender, and the title company?
Mhm.
You know who comes to my last two events? Home
Who?
inspectors. I
Uh,
have
do-
two events that I had, that two different events, two different home inspectors that showed up to the event. And they didn't find, I didn't even know them. They came to me on Eventbrite, and then they're offering to sponsor events too.
Wow.
Because nobody likes home inspectors, so they need business.
Everyone's gonna need business this year, guys. So yeah, reach out to them. They're all seeing the well run dry. Yeah, one thing I want to share with you guys is that most mortgage branches, they have a marketing budget that they have to spend every month if they're running their operation right. So, make sure that they make sure you understand that when you're reaching out to them, because at the end of the day, all you're providing is an opportunity for ROI for them, return on investment. So if you have a good event, you have 20, 30 people show up, and they spend $500, they just spend $500 to get some very, very warm leads out of there, because anyone that comes to your event already is qualified to buy or refinance a home because they already have bought one, right? So what comes next? Their sister needs to buy a house, or their kids need to buy a house, or someone needs to buy a house. And if they've a lot of these people have never even had a face-to-face interaction with the person who did their mortgage. So whoever did their mortgage the first time around maybe is not the same person who will do their next mortgage, just because maybe they weren't happy with the way it ended up. Some people just end up closing just because they have to close, but they didn't like the experience. So a lot of these lenders, they'd love to get in front of 20, 30 people for $500. So yeah, definitely don't leave that stone unturned. Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Sarah, and just to add on to what everybody else said, it's I think also thinking about who is the recipient for my hard-earned money, hard work. You've worked so hard. Where is your money going? And who is
My
that
team
that's getting
leader.
that money?
No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, but anyway, seriously, it could be, your mosque, maybe somebody there that you contribute towards events there. So the sheikh should be invited to that event.
I would love to tap into the mosque, but it's hard for me.
You know,
It's very, very hard.
State Farm, maybe like for me, I have a local State Farm agent. I'm paying my my insurance
That's a good
for my
thing.
business and my vehicles, and that agent really is somebody that is getting my money. So how he has also to give me business if I'm giving them business. And I think that reaching out to people like that, and also think of whoever who cuts your grass. If they do cut your grass, you're giving them your money. So invite them to the event, or tell them, listen, just come, bring your flyers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they will sponsor, they'll help you put the event together. But I think thinking about the recipients of your hard-earned money, who is receiving that money, could be your mother-in-law, whoever.
Yeah.
He's
I
right.
love that.
The deals actually start with us. I have not done one event where I have put a penny on. I always get 2, 3 sponsors to sponsor, because even if it's title attorney, they're all getting business because of us. I have learned to develop some sort of confidence, that I go to them and I say that, like, you're getting business because of me. So I'm doing this event and I would like for you to sponsor it. And that way, you get the contacts too, because sometimes we're not very confident in what we do or what we say, or even you say in the mosque, we are offering a service. You're not asking for, and I think I heard it from Luis, and I heard it somewhere else too. We're not offering, go from a given perspective. We're actually helping people when we help them sell their house. We're not taking from them. We do get paid, but we facilitate things for them. So go from a given perspective, instead of like taking business, you are helping them do business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tanya, I do have Ivania, I'm sorry. I have a question. When you go to your title company or your attorney, do you propose a number to them? Like how much you want them to contribute? Do you? Okay.
Yes, depending on the event, I tell them how much, or sometimes they tell you how much. But
So you go to the restaurant first and you make the reservation? I see,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
Okay,
depending on what you have to do. Like I was trying to send it here, but it won't let me send the picture. I will send it on the chat later with the link. I'm hosting a vision board event for realtors only. This year I'm all about agent attraction. So I'm doing it for agents. I have my lender and I'm gonna talk to my, because my lender did something, she mentioned something that I really didn't like. She wants to start charging for events. I haven't been to a lot of events that I have to pay for unless you're
Yes.
actually going to a really, really good event and it was free. So when you are able to provide stuff, people remember that. I feel like we make enough money with the deals for us not to have to charge people to come to an event. I mean, unless you're hiring somebody that you have to pay money to bring. But yeah, so I'm gonna get my title agent too, so that she can chip in with the supplies so that we don't have to charge people for a vision board.
I like it, yeah.
Right.
I've
Well,
been
and,
to one
you-
event where I paid
yeah.
for a ticket.
Can you say that again?
I only been to one event when I had to pay for a ticket.
Yeah, everything else is pretty much free. And I feel like you're most likely to attend an event that is free than something that you have to pay.
True.
Yeah, and most of these people are contributed. You're contributing to their business. It's about time for them to start contributing to your business.
And you
And
just,
it's a matter of partnership.
yeah, and you go and
it's
just say it just like that, like he's saying, hey, it's time for you to help. I'm sending you all these clients. How about you? Because they're not sending us
Yeah.
clients.
You're not asking for much.
Yeah.
It's funny. I love watching you guys. You guys get very, very animated, very excited when you start thinking about, hey, when you wake up and you're like, I've been giving this lender my business for the last 2 years. He hasn't given me one single lead. You'd be surprised, guys. I get calls from very high producing agents who tell me the same thing. Like, man, now that business is drying up, I'm starting to notice all these people I used to give business to, they never give me the business back. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's time you had these conversations. So yeah, it's true, guys. It's a two-way street. And granted, I understand that, you don't like to fix what's not broken because maybe they do treat your clients well and they always close and they always provide good service. But there's another side to that coin as well. I mean, besides just service, I mean, you have to reciprocate, once in a while. You can't just be always give, and then, never expect anything in return for it, because that's not what's called a symbiotic relationship. That's a parasitic relationship where only one person benefits. So keep that in mind.
Yes,
right.
and lenders do make good money out of our deals.
They do.
And
And
another thing, and I think I've shared it before, I had an experience my first year. I was giving all my business to these lenders, and then they saw that I was good, and then I was, always giving them business, and they sat down with me. They actually wanted me to quit EXP. They wanted me to open up a real estate branch with them. But during the conversation, they put their foot in their mouth, and they're like, oh, because we can even help you grow. We had given 20 deals to this agent, and I just sat back and I was like, what? Like, you haven't given me one deal? You want me to quit and come work with you, and you give this guy 20 deals? And I just walked away, never gave them anything back.
yeah, that's
How do lenders get paid? I always wonder.
okay. I used to be a lender, so I can give you my perspective from what I've seen. There's two ways that three ways lenders get paid. There is there's on the front end, which is the points that you charge. So for instance, if you come to me and I see you need a lot of work on you need a lot of help on your deal, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time on it. I could get away with maybe charging a point. Now, you're not supposed to be charging a point for your work. You're supposed to be charging a point if the person needs to qualify and they're on the verge of not qualifying, because that lowers their rate. But at the end of the day, not everybody does it that way. They still can get away with charging you a point just because. So you can get paid on the front end by charging points. And you could also get paid on the back end. That's called yield spread, because if I give you a 6% rate, maybe that 6% rate means that I'm getting a point from the bank. That's the money you don't see. So you might see me making a point on the front from the points I charge you, but I might be making a point on the back from the bank, which means now I've made 2 points. But then on top of that, banks also charge processing fees, commitment fees, like all these other things, and all that gets thrown into the P&L at the branch. And the lender could be making money 3 different ways. So, and maybe a 4th different way if they're a correspondent lender, because if they sell that loan later on, there could be even more money coming into the branch. So lenders make money, guys. So don't get it twisted or confused just because, you know, you see no points that they're charging on the HUD one or on the closing disclosure. They make money, and they close. They don't close 2 deals a month like realtors do. The good lenders, they close 10 deals a month, 20 deals a month, you know, very easily. So you know, it's a lot easier for them to close deals because they don't have to go anywhere and drive. They get the call when the person's ready to make an offer on the house. So even though it takes time for them to get there, they're very productive mortgage reps. They make good money. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So Louis, when they buy down the points,
Mhm.
like now they buying down points, so that come out the lenders.
Yeah, so the money you're using to buy down your rate, it could be used to buy down your rate, but it also could be used for the agent, I'm sorry, the loan officer to enrich themselves as well. So for instance, let me explain to you. If you're at a 7.5% interest rate and you want to get down to a 7, I do my numbers on my matrix, which is where I see the pricing. I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, it's going to cost 1 point to get you from a 7.5 to a 7. But I'm going to tell her it's going to take her 1.5 points or 2 points. A lot of lenders do this stuff. And they say to you, in order to get you from a 7.5 to a 7, you're going to have to pay 2 points. And the truth is, it probably only costs them 1, but they're telling you 2. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And then that's how they make extra money sometimes without you even noticing it or knowing about it. The 1 point goes towards the buy down and the other point goes towards the loan officer or the branch. So, you know, there's really no way to police that because it's hard to differentiate, you know, where the money goes after it's paid out when it closes. But just what I would say is when you find a trustworthy loan officer who you know doesn't do these things, you know, those are the kind of people you want in your team. Those are the ones you want to keep working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I've seen it all, guys. I've been through the 08 crash where, you know, everybody, this was common practice, to now where when points are being charged again. And this time around, like, you know, people are like, points, what are those? And I'm like, I remember like the points could be really misused if not policed correctly or if not really monitored. So you guys as real estate agents, you know, it's okay to ask a question once in a while. Like if you see like you have a good client, just say you have like one of your best friends or your family members is getting a loan from a loan officer, and you look at the closing disclosure and you're like, and this is the initial one when you get in the beginning, and you see they're charging, you know, 1.5 points to bring their rate down. You might say to the loan officer, hey, like, listen, I see you're charging 1.5 points to get them from a 7.5 to a 7 or 6.5, whatever the case may be. Could you show me your pricing schedule or your matrix that shows, you know, how much they have to pay in order to bring rates down? Because maybe I can talk them into paying it down a little more, or maybe I'll talk them into not paying it down as much. Could you show me that? And when and if they stutter and don't send you that, it's because they're charging them more than what they need to. Follow me?
I will stick to my own lane.
Yeah, you stick to your own lane unless it's you, because if it's you and then you see that
Yeah.
on your closing disclosure, then ask the questions.
True.
You know what I did to a loan officer?
I met with 2 guys this weekend and it's sad because they lenders usually take advantage of our communities.
Yeah.
So it is a great question to ask. And I know, Sarah, like you might want to stick to your lane, but a lot of people get ripped off like really bad in like the Spanish people and all the minority because they don't know. So these people are out there charging a lot of points.
That's exactly right.
And the lenders say it themselves.
An easy way to do this, if you guys don't want to become forensic loan officer researchers, all you have to do is simply get a second opinion once you get a rate, once you get a HUD one, once you get a closing disclosure, or like initially. Take that and just say, well, okay, well, this is what this person is offering, and then quickly see what another loan officer is offering. I did this last month when I refinanced one of my properties, and I was going to get an 8.5 on a refinance on an investment property. And I got a matrix from some other loan officer in my email, and I was like, wow, these other guys are offering 7.5. Now, I didn't go through researching further to see if there were any add-ons or anything like that. All I did was email my loan officer, and I was like, hey, listen, you're going to reprice my loan, right? Because I see rates have come down. Someone offered me a 7.5 for the same deal. He was like, oh, I don't know. It depends on what the Fed does this week. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to get you down that low, but let me see what I can do. I was like, yeah, because I'm not going to go through with an 8.5, man. That's way too much. So just let me know. A couple of days later, he gets me an email, says, yeah, I can get you down to 7.5. So I mean, that's all you got to do. Just check people once in a while, because if not, it'll cost you a lot of money.
I have a crazy story. My buyer was buying her second home, and now she's actually getting her husband's credit. I'm ready to buy 2 more homes because they are not. I mean, they're a couple. They're not married, but you can get him to buy 2.
Yeah.
But we went back to the first lender that we bought the house with. I'm sorry, I just put some gum in my mouth and it's dry. And they gave us a rate, and then I was like, oh my God, that's a little high. So we went and we price checked with, like Louis was saying. And they actually went back to ask them and be like, hey, this is the second loan that we're doing with you. And can you believe that they still did not lower the rate? So we went with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody works hard, I mean, they deserve to make money. But again, like if they're completely taking advantage of someone, then that's not fair either. Because, a repeat customer or like a client that does multiple deals with you in any given time, I think they should get a little bit of a leniency. I've always done that with my investors. I've given them lower commissions on flipping their properties, and as everyone should. I mean, help them out. If they're helping you out, why not?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Good. All right. We got a few minutes left. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and what we opened up with today, we opened up with a video on a guy who just broke down the importance of checklist, right? So everything and anything can become a lot simpler if we use checklists. So everything you guys spoke about today can be simplified into a checklist, whether that is Sarah putting together an event and she goes and she picks the brain of like 3 or 4 different people about doing an event. She can make that into a checklist. So she's like, okay, first I do this, then I do that, then I do this, then I do this. So that way I know a foolproof my event and I don't make any mistakes, right? It's a very important to organize yourself like that, because one of the things that the gentleman said in the video is that our brains are not very good file cabinets, because we forget things. It's in there somewhere, but we forget. So it's good to always have a visual where you can go back and check things off, because you're moving in the right direction. So for myself personally, like I literally run my entire business off a checklist. Like I have to have checklists for everything I have to do that day, that week, that month, that year. So if you guys have never really taken advantage of creating checklists, they're very powerful. For instance, if Yannette, she's prospecting and she's like, okay, I'm going to create a checklist on everything I should say before I hang up a call to make sure I maximize every single interaction. If she did this, I guarantee you her numbers would get better. If she did a checklist for her follow-ups, her numbers would get better. If she did a checklist just for how am I going to find the people I'm going to call, like everything gets better. And you can also break this down into a checklist, which is probably the most important of all checklists, is a checklist on the things that you should not be doing, right? So I sent everybody a list. I'm sorry, I sent everybody an attachment here on chat. And what it is let me share my screen real quick so I can explain this to you guys. What it is it's a little document that I got from a mastermind that I joined a while back. It's from a gentleman by the name of Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. They teamed up and he created this mastermind. It's called mastermind.com, I think it was called. Yeah, so it was like a way to really like ramp up your business, right? And one of the lists that I found there was your not to do list, which was very, very powerful, because a lot of us continuously do things that we don't get any value out of. I mean, things that need to get done, yes, but I've spoken to you guys about this so many times. Like, yes, these things are maybe necessary because you're only one person, but could you find a way to do this later? Could you find a way to prioritize what does help you and stretches you and grows you first, and then you can do those things later? I'm not sure if you guys are into working out, or if you guys are into doing anything that's very strenuous, but I find it that for me to do something that I hate doing, such as like squats or clean and press, or something that requires like a lot of force or energy, if I don't do that in the beginning of my workout, it's very unlikely I'm going to do that as the last workout, because I'm super tired. So same thing goes for us. Like the things that require the most mental strength and the most energy out of us, you should do those things first. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing them at the end of the day, if you could discipline yourself to doing them at the end of the day. So for instance, the prospecting that Yanette's doing, I know a lot of agents that prospected in the afternoons and they did well. I personally could never do that. But if you find that you have the most energy and the most time in the mornings, do that one thing in the morning and then leave everything else for the rest of the day. Like you do that stuff later. So for instance, here, the reason why I really liked this list that I got is because in this list, you write down the things that you spend your time on. Like this is so simple. Like write down the things that you do. Like take this today, guys, and you can just write this thing, write down what you did today. And now on the right side here, you see, is this something that I can automate? Is this something that I can delegate? Or is this something I can eliminate? Like so simple, but yet so powerful. So for instance, if I'm prospecting, right? I'm prospecting, I'm
Yes.
picking up the phone, making one call at a time, making one call at a time. Is there a way I could automate that? Yes, I can use a dialer like Yanette's using, like Sarah's talking about using, because a dialer is going to allow you to make 100 phone calls an hour instead of making 10, right? So you just automated yourself. Now,
Yeah.
once you've gotten that down pat, can you automate your follow-up? Yes, you can. You can automate your follow-up. You can automate so many things that it'll flip your brain how much you can break this down to. You can literally automate the people who are on hot list, warm list, cold list by just pressing one button on your software that you're using to make these calls, and they can automatically go into a drip campaign without you having to do it. There's a lot of automation that you can do to those things, but you're never going to get there unless you take the time to write down these activities first and then dig deep. And so for instance, whatever you write here, you ask yourself, can this be automated? I don't know. Can it be? Ask around, watch a YouTube video, come to a group like this and say, hey guys, is there any way to automate my postcards that I send out every month? Or is there any way to automate my door knocking? Maybe not so much automate the door knocking, but can I make it more efficient? So like Sarah, I just kind of talked about her earlier, you can kind of do two things at once because there's two people there. It's kind of like, do you really need two people to door knock? No, you don't, but you need it for safety. But how can you maximize both people's time? So then you start thinking about automation. And then you come across things that are really not worth your time, that you really can't automate, such as like you need to list the property. And you guys know that whenever you get a new listing, it's a happy day. But on the back end, listing a property requires a lot of manual stuff, photos, lockbox. You got to put up a sign, you got to do the descriptions, you guys have to do so many things, right? You have to do so many things on the back end to just list that one property. Is that something you can automate, delegate, or eliminate? So we don't want to eliminate listings, obviously, right? So how do we delegate it and automate it? Well, there's a quick way you can automate it. So for instance, who here struggles with descriptions for when they want to list a home? Like something nice to write in the client remarks. I kind of do sometimes, right? So I found that this tool here, that we spoke about last week real briefly, ChatGPT. If I tell ChatGPT real quick, if I say, write me a description for a nice, cozy Cape Cod in a business tone.
What is that chat? What?
ChatGPT. It'll literally help you automate so many things. It's incredible. It'll create a script for you for YouTube. It'll give you information on just about anything at all. So what you could do here is you could basically take this description and you might be able to use 100% of it, or you might get inspiration from it and change it around, or you might just be able to change a couple words and make it your own. So for instance, like here it says, welcome to our charming Cape Cod home nestled in a quiet neighborhood. This cozy abode is the perfect retreat after a long day. This exterior boasts classic New England charm with clapboard side. I mean, like you can change a few of these things, but you can see that it gives you at least some inspiration, and then I can say, well, I don't really like it that much. Can you make it shorter with vinyl siding? You just play around with it until you get exactly what it is you're looking for. And you can even make this, can you write this in under 100 characters? You can just tell it anything, and it'll do it for you as long as it's not illegal, whatever you're asking it. You can't ask it how to make a, illegal substances or anything like that. So this is a really cool tool to use. Something like this, you think about, because if you're doing something that requires too much time and you're on a budget, the first thing you got to ask yourself is, how do I automate? Because maybe you can't afford to delegate yet, but how do I automate? So that's one way you could do it. So just go through your list of things, guys, and then next week we can share these and we can go over it and see how we can give each other suggestions on how we can automate, or we can delegate if we're able to, you know, and how to delegate, when the right time is to delegate. Because I know Brent wanted to talk about when is the right time to get an admin, or should we just eliminate it altogether? Is this something that does not add value at all to our lives, to our business, to anything, right? Sometimes that may include, you know, you guys know what you do that maybe doesn't help anybody. You know, can we eliminate those things? And don't be too easy on yourself. You guys can write things in here that you do that you're like ashamed to admit you do, but you do, because no one's going to look at this list besides you. And here you're gonna take the time to write, what are the top 3 actions that move the needle the most in my life? So for instance, is that networking, is that prospecting, is that door knocking, is that you know, reaching out to old clients, whatever it is, but what moves the needle the most? And what are the top 3 things I must eliminate in my life? You know, so like, again, the hardest critic should be yourself. Like, you really know yourself the most, and our mind could be our biggest enemy if we allow ourselves to get there. So if we just take this simple document here and really just be honest with ourselves, it could really change a lot for you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed, you know, this presentation today and this whole document that I shared with you guys. This was a really good mastermind course that I took. I spent a lot of money on it. I think it was worth it because I did get a lot of good reminders and a lot of new lessons from it. And this was one of the ones that really stuck out to me, is your to-do list. I've talked about this in the past, but it's good to be reminded and verified from, you know, big people out there who have already made their careers, that this is something that even they practice. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Good,
Thank
good.
you so much for sharing.
No problem, guys. No problem. And Ivani wanted to share The One Thing by Gary Keller. I think she really enjoyed that book. If you guys haven't ever read that book, you know, it's a good one, and I think that you'll get a lot of value out of it. You can even get it on what's that called, on Audible?
Audio.
Yeah, Audible. Yeah, it might even be on YouTube for free. Maybe somebody, or maybe you get the cliff notes from YouTube. But good book, good message, and I think everyone could benefit from sometimes slowing down and doing less than trying to do too much.
Louis, I get so much information from your Zoom.
Thank you.
I
for that.
love coming. I've been here since last September,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I love coming here. I've been learning so much from you and
Awesome.
everybody else on the group. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to everyone. It wouldn't be a group if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you for showing up every Monday. And Sarah, while we have you, I know last week you said you wanted to close out this week, so we'll give you the opportunity to do that.
You know, so I pray in Arabic.
That's fine.
And
Go for it.
is that you sure?
Yeah.
That's okay.
And
Yes,
listen,
I'm okay.
yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do it,
So
sweetheart.
we'll start.
Go for it.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنا نسألك في يومنا هذا أن تفرج علينا وترزقنا وتبعد عنا كل الشر. الحمد لله. Okay.
That was awesome. Thank you, sweetheart.
You guys just prayed
Thank
for. You're welcome. You just prayed to be protected from any accident, from any harm, and you asked for extra I guess bread, you would translate it.
Blessings. Yeah.
Yeah, blessings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen.
Fred. Amen.
Amen.
That was awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day, an amazing week.
Thank
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.